I look high, I look low, I'm looking everywhere I go, looking for a home in the heart of the country.
Hello there, welcome to something a little bit different today because I'm here in Campbelltown, which is in the Kintyre Peninsula here in Scotland. Now the reason I'm here is because back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, Paul McCartney lived in this area along with Linda and his family. They lived at a farm not far from here. So what I thought we'd do while I'm here on my holiday is I would show you the area, show you some of the sites, some of the Beatles related stuff, give you a little history tour, that sort of thing. Very nice area. So to start with, I'll just do a very quick one actually. Just back here actually is the Campbelltown Picture House. Now this is the oldest original picture house that's standing in Scotland. Now back in the 70s and the 80s, Paul McCartney would bring his young kids here and they would watch films of the day in there. So yeah, we'll have a look at some more interesting locations than that. So yeah, come with me on a magical history tour around the Kintyre Peninsula. Sorry, not my best filming work this one, but just quickly because I've just remembered. If you look there, that little island there, that is the one that appears on the cover of the Mull of Kintyre single, which if I remember, I'll be showing you that on the screen about now. But yeah, that's it. That is the little island that you can see on the cover. So yeah, anyway, let's go and look at some more interesting stuff than that. Although that one's quite interesting, to be fair.
Being married to Paul McCartney, it's very easy to live in the shadow, isn't it? Did you feel a necessity to break out?
No, I'm not really worried about that living in the shadow. You know, I love life and I'll just have a good time, shadow or no shadow.
Yeah. Do you encourage Linda to go out and do this stuff?
Yeah. No, it is true, you know, because she's my wife. Some people do look at her and sort of think, oh, it's the only reason people look at her photos is because it's the wife of the fella. But she's a really good photographer. One of the best, I reckon.
So to start with, we're beginning here in the Linda McCartney Memorial Garden, which as you can see is a statue to Linda. Now this was erected in her memory after she passed away. Linda in particular loved this area. Now Paul obviously bought the farm before Linda was on the scene, but when Linda came along, it was Linda that made Paul really love the farm, and it was Linda that loved this area more than anyone. So yeah, when she passed away, the locals, because she was friends with quite a lot of them here, they got together to get this memorial garden put together, which is very peaceful actually. If you ever visit Campbelltown, it is worth visiting this garden. And this statue, but I think Paul did contribute towards it. Now also in these buildings around here, they're wanting to open a Linda sort of photography exhibition with photos that she took of the Campbelltown area. It's not here yet. I don't know if, I imagine because Paul owns the rights to these photos, he'll have to get involved in it, but yeah, that's what they're wanting to do. Now back here at the back, there's little bits of history about Linda and her love for the area. There's bits about Linda's life, and one of them says that Linda's ashes were scattered here in Kintyre, which was news to me. I always assumed that her ashes, because I'd read this in books and stuff, that they were scattered down on Paul's farm in Sussex, but apparently according to these signs they're up here in Kintyre. I don't know where. I'm assuming they're not in here. I'm guessing they'll be up at the farm. But yeah, it's a nice little memorial. It's definitely worth a visit. Should also say in this area, this is literally the only evidence of Paul and Linda ever having anything to do with this area. There's nothing like blue plaques or anything like that like you would see in London and Liverpool. Yeah, this is literally the only evidence of them ever being here. And even then it's just Linda. I imagine when the time comes someday, hopefully a long way away, there may be a statue of Paul added to this garden as well, and it'll become the McCartney Memorial Garden, but I don't know, obviously, hopefully that's a long way away still. But yeah, that's the Linda McCartney Memorial Garden. Very peaceful place, very nice.
It was said that those seeds had been sent to you. How did you come to grow them?
Yeah, well, we got a load of seeds, you know, kind of in the post, and we didn't know what they were, you know, we kind of planted them all, and five of them came up illegal, you know.
Now, of course, this conviction against you might affect your entry to the States, where you have considerable business interests there.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
You know, I understand I might not get stopped from going into the States because it's a technical offence. I hope not, anyway.
So the building that's behind me here is the Campbelltown Sheriff Court, and I'm going to get onto the significance of it in a minute. But to start with, I'm going to give you a little story that begins in the summer of 1972 when Wings were on tour in Europe. Now, whilst they were on tour in Sweden, Paul got himself arrested for being in possession of pot, and in the end he would just be fined. Now, he nearly got sent to jail, but in the end they thought it'd be too much hassle to send him to jail, so instead they just fined him and effectively asked him to leave Sweden, which he did, to be fair to him. Anyway, back here, they did make the press back here in Britain, and the local Plod and the boys in there, they thought, we better go and look up at Paul's farm, make sure there's nothing suspicious going on there. Now, to be fair to them, they normally did check on his farm while he wasn't here, just to make sure there was no fans knocking about or no one had raided the place or anything. Anyway, on September 19th, 1972, the police went up to High Park Farm to have a look, make sure there was nothing suspicious there, and they noticed some suspicious plants. So they thought, we need to do something about this. So they raided his farm and took the plants away. Now, Paul wasn't at High Park Farm when the raid took place. He was down in London recording the song Hi, 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 ironically. Anyway, the plants got sent away for tests to see what they were. And then on December 22nd, 1972, a nice little early Christmas present for Paul and Linda, they were formally charged with drug possession with growing cannabis at their farm. So they were told they would face trial on March 8th, 1973. So when that day came around, they flew up on their private jet from London to Campbelltown Airport up the road, and they went in there and they faced trial. Now, they claimed in their defence, and how the cops believed this, I don't know, but what they claimed was that Paul had been sent this cannabis in the post, and he'd basically just grown it, he didn't know what it was. And 2 of the charges got dropped because they believed this argument, but the other 3 was 5 charges he faced, so 2 got dropped, 3 of them he was prosecuted for. He got fined £100 in the end. Again, they thought, we're not going to send him to prison because it will cause us too much problems with all the fans and stuff that'd be kicking off if Paul was arrested in there. Although Paul was expecting to go to jail, he thought he'd write himself some good songs whilst in jail. But yeah, he didn't get sent in the end. So yeah, in the end, like I say, he was fined £100, and to him that was nothing. He joked on that it cost him more to fly up here in his private jet than it did to pay the fine. The bigger problem it caused him though was with his American visa. He couldn't get into America now because of what had gone on with Sweden and here in Campbelltown, here in Scotland. So yeah, basically he couldn't go on tour in America, which is what he really wanted to do. But it wouldn't last very long, this problem, because the Eastmans, Linda's parents, Paul's in-laws, they were high-flying lawyers in New York, in Manhattan, so they managed to sort of call some favours with the American immigration officers, and yeah, basically they cleared his name and he managed to get himself a visa by the end of 1973, so yeah. But there is footage of Paul coming out of there with Linda, there's photos as well of them coming out of there. But yeah, there you go, that's the Campbelltown High Court. That's where Paul and Linda face charges. So the building that you can see behind me there is the Argyle Arms Hotel. Now, back in the 70s, quite a few members of Wings would stay in there when they were over visiting, because obviously Paul and Linda lived up on the farm. The other members of the band needed somewhere to stay, so that's where they would stay. Denny Sywell stayed in there, he was the drummer. A couple of others, some people who worked for Paul at MPL, they went and stayed in there if they were visiting to organise like tours and stuff. So yeah, it's not the most significant location, but while it's there, I thought I'd show you it, the Argyle Arms Hotel.
The long and winding road that leads to your door will never disappear. I've seen that road before.
So this here is the A83. It might not seem like much, but this road is the road from Campbelltown up to Tarbert, which is the start of the Kintyre Peninsula. So this would be the road that McCartney and his family would drive along when they were coming up from London. And in late 1968, this would be the road that would inspire the Long and Winding Road. Here it is. This is the road, the Long and Winding Road. Obviously, he would also write Helen Wheels based on his car that he used on this route, but that wasn't really inspired by this road. That was more once you got from Glasgow going down the main British coastline. So yeah, that's this road, the A83, up to Campbelltown, Long and Winding Road.
Let me know
So this here is the Mull of Kintyre itself. If you look down there, you will see a little lighthouse, which we're going to hopefully get down to, and I'll show you it properly when we get down there. But that lighthouse is the Mull of Kintyre lighthouse. This area of the Kintyre Peninsula down at the bottom is the Mull of Kintyre. Now, despite Paul McCartney writing a song called Mull of Kintyre, he didn't live on the Mull of Kintyre. He lived on the Kintyre Peninsula, but that's about 20 miles from the Mull of Kintyre where his farm was. So yeah, I imagine he's been here. I mean, he was only 20 miles away. But in terms of actually living here, there's not really anything around here. It's very bleak, it's very remote. There's only really that lighthouse. Now, if you look over here, however, those hills you can see over there is Ireland. On mainland Britain, this is the closest point you can be to Ireland. That's only a couple of miles away, that. A couple of years ago, the government were actually considering building a bridge from here to there as a way of connecting Britain with Ireland, but they didn't do it because obviously they then once they got over this side, there's nothing here for like timber wagons and cargo lorries and stuff. But yeah, that's Ireland. That's the Mull of Kintyre lighthouse. This is the Mull of Kintyre, and it's a really good scene day actually out to sea. Often there's mist rolling in from the sea. So yeah, Mull of Kintyre, or mist rolling in from the sea, and my desire is always to be here. And just like that, that there is the Mull of Kintyre lighthouse, and if you can't tell, it's very windy down here. So yeah, this is the Mull of Kintyre itself. This is the Mull of Kintyre lighthouse. Like I say, Paul McCartney, he didn't live here, he lived up 20 miles up the road. And you may have seen a music video for Mull of Kintyre. So we're going to head to a very familiar location next, which you may have seen in the video before. First things first, I've got to get back off that hill, which is a bit concerning.
Nights when we sang like a heavenly choir of the night, and the times of the Mull of Kintyre. Mull of Kintyre, oh mist rolling in from the sea, my desire.
So this here is Saddle Bay. This was where the music video for Mull of Kintyre was filmed. Now we'll go up to the Bothy up there, which is where a lot of it was filmed, but this part here, the actual beach, this was where the pipe band walked along. So we'd walk along here. That there you maybe can't see, that's Saddle Castle. The minute it's covered in scaffolding. But yeah, basically as part of the video as well, what they did on the night time, they had a bonfire on this beach, and they invited most of the Campbelltown, which is up the road there, they invited most of them down here to Saddle Bay to sing the chorus and the last verse. So yeah, that was on here, Saddle Bay. This is the beach anyway, so we're going to go up to the Bothy now and we'll have a look at that and see what's going on there. So this here is the Bothy that is at the start of the music video for Mull of Kintyre. Now these days it's a little bit different to how it was back then. So for example, back then there was a fence along here. At the start of the video you can see Paul sat on the fence playing his guitar. That's no longer here. All these hedges over here as well, they weren't there when the video was filmed, because obviously they walk over there to the beach. The beach is on the other side of those hedges. They've obviously grown since. But the big thing is at the start of the video, Linda is stood in that doorway. Now the reason she stood there is they wanted to make this seem like it was their house in Scotland. It's obviously not their house in Scotland. But the reason why they did it here rather than actually at High Park Farm was because they didn't want to put their house all over top of the pops and stuff like that. They wanted to keep it sort of anonymous so people didn't actually know where they lived. So this is about 7 miles from High Park Farm. So they wanted to make this look like it was where they lived, which is probably not too dissimilar, but this isn't the actual place. So yeah, this was where the video started for Mull of Kintyre. They then walked over there where the pipe band was, and yeah, that's it. That's the Mull of Kintyre music video. So we'll go and see now if the Bothy's open, and if it is, we'll go and have a look inside.
My desire is always to be on Mull of Kintyre.
So unfortunately the Bothy's locked, so we can't get in, but this is what it looks like inside. It's very basic. So yeah, obviously you don't see this in the video, but that is what the inside of it looks like. It's even got a toilet. So yeah, God knows why it's locked, because they're not supposed to be when the boff is, but there we go.
With valleys of green, past painted deserts, the sun sets on fire as he carries me home to the Mull of Kintyre.
So yeah, unfortunately we couldn't get in the boffy there. So I'm going to end the video kind of here back on Saddle Beach, which, you know, beautiful place. I mean, you've got trees over there. It's the time of year as well. It's very autumnal. Very nice. Hopefully the waves aren't distracting the sound too much here. But I feel like before I finish, I should address the elephant in the room, High Park Farm. So Paul still owns that farm. He doesn't visit it anymore, but because he still owns it, it's private property. Now, it's not far from here. If I wanted to, I could probably go and find it. But because he still owns it, if I then went on the land, it would technically be trespassing, and I would then be putting myself on the internet committing a crime. Yeah. Now, like I say, Paul doesn't come here anymore, but I believe his family still come from time to time, his kids, maybe even his grandkids. So yeah, knowing my luck, I'll go there and bloody Stella McCartney or something will be there, I don't know. But I'm just making sure my feet aren't going to get wet here. But yeah, like I say, Paul doesn't come here anymore. He hasn't really been seen here much since Linda passed away. I think it was Linda really that really loved this area. I think Paul did too, but Linda in particular really did like it. And without her being here, I think it would just be really emotional for Paul to come here without Linda. I mean, I kind of can get where he's coming from with that. My feet are going to get wet here. But I also think now there's also the practical reasons. I mean, this place, it is in the back of Beyond. We are quite far away from the mainland. I mean, I'm assuming the nearest main hospital to here will be Glasgow, which is quite a drive from here. So, you know, if Paul needed hospital, because, you know, he's 82 now, it's not going to be easy for him to get to. So, you know, I know he's in good health and everything, but at the end of the day, he is still an 82-year-old man. But yeah, he does, like I say, he still owns the farm. I don't know if it's looked after much by the locals or whatnot, but yeah, oh, the water's hit my feet. So that's a good point now to conclude the video. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's been something very different, like I say. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm very paranoid now about my feet getting soaked. But yeah, thank you very much, like I say. If you've never come here and you're able to, I highly recommend it. Honestly, I've been to quite a few places around the world, and I can honestly say this is one of the most beautiful places I have ever been. I mean, just look at that, with the trees and everything, it's astonishing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, take care, and I will see you on a future video. Goodbye.